Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to episode number 287 of Geek Smack Live. My name is Jeffrey Powers, and I just came back from the brightest city in the world, Las Vegas, or whatever you want to call it, becoming the most tech upstarty company place of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, I am here. I was there for CES, and I was there for a whole bunch of other stuff. It was an amazing part. Welcome to the vlog part of Geek Smack, where I talk about what's going on in tech. That's Geek Smack's going to come very soon. This is the little vlog part. This is what's happened to me in the last week, and a lot of information going through. Of course, last episode, where we last left off was around the third week of December, and then I was going to try and do one right before the new year, but it just didn't happen. Because we get hot and heavy when it comes to CES, getting everything ready, and I had to get tons of stuff ready, and but I got it all done, and we got out to Vegas to CES. Amazing stuff over at CES, including lots of video. Took lots of pictures that you'll find over at Geekazine.com, and then of course the big news is this guy right here. Let's get the picture up on the big screen here. This guy right here was wearing my Google Glass. And my Google Glass, actually, let me grab my Google Glass really quick. There we go. My Google Glass, worn by Christopher Lloyd, worn by Alan Mulally, CEO of Ford, and a couple other people actually too. But here's the kicker: this pair of Google Glass, it's going back, and you're going, "Did you break it?" And it's like, no, I didn't break it. What happened is this is version 1 of Google Glass, and the version 2 of Google Glass is coming up. So I talked to some people. In fact, I got to talk with some entrepreneurs on Google Glass. And I said, hey, should I keep my Google Glass? Should I let it go? What should I do? And they said, it's probably best just to get to version 2. We don't know what the differences are. In fact, if I ask anybody, and nobody seems to tell me what the differences of the second version of Google Glass is. And which is interesting, but I am going to be sending them back. So this is the pair that Christopher Lloyd wore, that Alan Mulally wore, and like I said, a few other people, celebrities and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Really excited about that. Of course, just the idea that he wore something that I gave to him was awesome. Plus, we had a lot of other video here. In fact, if you go over to my Google Plus page over at plus.google.com/plus Jeffrey Powers, you're going to see a lot of the stuff. Like I walked through Central Hall right before its opening. We got Munchkinland Lollipop Song through glass. This one right here, really cool. It was a Lotus solar powered Lotus car. And let's just pull it full screen. Right there, you got it's a concept car, but it looked like an umbrella over the car there. We won't show too much because you got to go over to my profile to check it out. And what else? Lots of cool stuff. Lots of pictures over on Geekazine.com, and lots of events. I did a 360 view. Now this is pretty cool. This is a 360 view. Let's see if I can do it on this computer here. This is a full 360 view of the booth that we set up to do our interviews with. There's Jamie Davis, the pod medic, and there's Todd Cochran. Let's turn around a little bit more. Let's spin it around. There's the camera setup, and of course there's the live booth table where I did it and everything. And then I did the stitch from my Nexus 5 phone. And as you can see, it tried to stitch it as best as possible. But the problem is with those lights up here. Where are they? Over here. That makes it a little bit hard because it's got to adjust for light. And you go down to the bottom and it's dark. You go up to the top and it's light again. And it's just crazy. But it was a lot of fun there. So, and then yeah, the other celebrity happening was I had Martha Stewart photobombing me. And in fact, it really funny. It was we went from one station to the next. We started in the parrot booth, and in the parrot booth, we basically were doing these interviews, and all of a sudden said, "Well, we can do this one more interview, but I got to cut it as quick as possible because Martha Stewart's coming to the booth." It's like, well, that's pretty cool. Okay, we'll stick around. Maybe we'll get to say hi to her or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So we'd finished up the interview, and Martha Stewart walked in, and it's like, oh, she's plunking away at her big Samsung device, and then she goes and she looks at parents like, okay, well, let's go to the next interview because we got a lot of stuff to do. So we go to the next interview, another booth, and we get in there and we start interviewing them, and all of a sudden they say, you got to wrap it up because Martha Stewart's coming this way. It's like, oh, okay, let's Martha Stewart coming this way. So we wrapped it up. We moved on. We did a couple interviews, and then we stopped at this one booth. Really cool. They offer 3D printing services rather than a 3D printer or anything for 3D printing. So basically, you just send them your idea, and they make it into a 3D model. You don't have to have a printer. You don't have the $10,000 printer that you need to make the cool stuff. So we're in the middle of this interview. And all of a sudden, I look off the corner of my eye. Sure enough, Martha Stewart is coming down the hall. And they go to the booth next to us. And it's with TechCrunch. And the TechCrunch crew just kind of completely invades the booth that we're in. And we're in the middle of an interview here. And these people are just kind of pushing through, and the one guy with the live view bag just holding the camera. He invades the booth of the company that we're interviewing so they can get video of the company next door to him. And it was like, and luckily I looked at the interview after, and there might have been a couple people that you see in the background, but it wasn't that bad on our interview. We wrapped that up, and then we kind of panned over to Martha Stewart looking at the booth next door. But that was kind of sad. Not as much for Martha Stewart. I mean, she's doing what she's doing, but for a company like TechCrunch to just kind of invade a booth and not give the booth any love, that was the other thing. It's just like, let's walk in here and let's kind of take over their space that they paid for, and then just walk away. Anyway, that was pretty sad of them. But anyway, Martha Stewart, of course, we got the picture right here. Martha Stewart, I took a couple. She's basically stalking me, so I got a photobomb of her, and that was over at you can see it once again over at my Google Plus profile at plus.google.com/plus Jeffrey Powers. A lot of great stuff. A lot of great stuff at CES. The Lenovo after party with Social Media Club and Lenovo, awesome party there. Lots of great interviews. Like I said, the video with Christopher Lloyd, the videos, just all the different interviews, all the different products. The live stream, we talked to the I can't remember his name, but he's a disabled athlete. He was born with no legs, but yet he wants to be the first Olympic athlete, or first athlete to run in the disabled athlete to run in the Olympics, and he really wants this to happen. So he's training every single day. And so we're going to wish him the best of luck, and we're going to keep following him. And of course, once I have that video, I'll have it posted as quick as possible. Now, of course, I stayed an extra 48 hours because plane rate, with the rates for the plane, it was a lot easier to do. And I thought, well, I'll just be doing video during that whole time. Well, I did an interview with these guys over at Power Glass, and they weren't part of CES, so we can't say that it's part of CES. I had to process the video separately. And Power Glass, PWR Glass, made a charger for Google Glass. And it's just basically an attachment that attaches to the bow. And I was able, you can have your Google Glass down here, kind of like one of those cords that you have for a pair of glasses. And it powers up your Google Glass. And in fact, it gives you about 4 to 5 times the amount of power that you would if you just did stuff with your Google Glass. So if you're recording, a 45-minute video will turn into like a 2.5-hour video if you wanted it to. So that was pretty cool. And but when we were done with CES, we went down and we checked out. Todd and I checked out Container Park over at downtown Las Vegas. This is Tony Hsieh's 350 a part of his $350 million project to revitalize the downtown part of Las Vegas. So we checked out Container Park and it looked pretty cool. And once again, I got pictures up on geekazine.com. But then I ran into these guys and they said, "Hey, we're over at the Ogden. I'd like to show you some programs." And it's like, okay. So I went, I separated with Todd and I went up to their place. Nice place. They had about 6 people staying there, and they showed me some stuff. They showed me Power Glass, of course, and then they showed me Name Tag, which apparently CNN just talked about that morning. So they were getting all these requests for beta invites, but a lot of people didn't know that it was for glass. They said, "Yeah, I'd love to get it on my phone." It's like, no. And basically, Name Tag is one of the first recognition apps out there. So I can point and I got to see it. I hit the OK, and then I did the point, and then I looked at Leslie, who brought me over, and it recognized him and found his contact. He said, "You want to go to Facebook? You want to go to Twitter? You want to say hi or something like that?" So that was pretty cool. And then they showed me a couple apps that I can't talk about, and it was really cool. They're on that that inventor's assumption that you got to have 10 apps going at 10 things going at one time, and then out of it something will evolve, and 10 projects making something that'll evolve. That's pretty cool. So I saw a few things over there that I can't talk about, but they also showed me this whole new project. I talked to companies that are starting up. We went up to the down. There was a coffee shop there in downtown Las Vegas. The Beat, something like that. They played nothing but vinyl inside the coffee shop, and which was really cool. But upstairs they had the user lib, or USR/LIB, user library, where you could get any type of tech reference book. And we sat up there and we talked about what Tony Hsieh's vision is. And they were so knowledgeable, even though they're not, they don't have to be knowledgeable. They just be part of this whole project here. But they were so knowledgeable that it impressed me to no end. And like I said, these are fans. These are people that are part of it and are fans as well. And they work with all the other startups. It's a community. It's awesome. I also met the host of podcast Downtown Podcast, and we're planning something interesting that is called. We're calling it right now. We're calling it the Podcast Throwdown. Now, more details to come on that. But it's basically the Downtown Podcast and Geekazine are going to come together for the clash of the century. It's the Jets versus the Sharks, whatever you want to call it. We're going to have fun. Now, I got an email. I was done with. I'd spent 48 hours there, and I spent most of that 48 hours in that downtown area, soaking up the life, the downtown life for a startup. And I hung out at the Golden Spike, which was a casino that Tony Hsieh bought, and took out all the gambling items. And stop the gambling because the gambling license. And apparently, if you end a gambling license at a building, Las Vegas will not re-grant it. And he doesn't want it. I mean, the place was just awesome. I mean, you could go there and you could relax. You go into the diner, you could have some food. You go into the bar, you have a drink. They had pool there. They had this Foursquare game out there. They had Giant and Jenga there. You went outside. There was an ice rink in the back. They had let's see what else. They had barrel beer pong. So they had these barrels, like trash barrels that looked like big red Solo cups. And then you threw a small basketball into the barrel and you played it just like beer pong, except it's with barrels. And they had a lot more. I learned more about the ideas. They got a whole bunch of Airstreams Tony bought, and he's going to actually make it would be a motel out of it, since they're all on one floor. So you could go to the motel and stay at an Airstream, which I thought was pretty sweet. And it's not out yet, but he has all the Airstreams all lined up, and that was just exciting. That was super, super exciting. So got to see all of this. And now the cool thing is I get to go back and be part of it even more. And it's amazing, but it's not in my travel plans. I've got most of my travel plans set up. So I'm looking for people that'll help sponsor me to go out there for my travel. I need to cover the airfare and the expenses. So if you're interested, please let me know, because it would help out. And of course, as a sponsor, you become a sponsor of the show, and so your name gets mentioned within the episodes that I create. And we're going to do a lot of stuff, including that podcast throwdown. And that's going to be the exciting part. So, more details to come. It's all loosey goosey right now, as I'm still trying to figure it all out from here. All right. So, CES happened. This happened afterwards, and it was total surprise. And I flew back yesterday. I was dead to the world. And in fact, Jennifer picked me up and she says, "We're staying in bed all afternoon." And it's like, okay. So we caught up on a couple TV shows that I missed, like Big Bang Theory and Community, which started back up, and I'm really happy the direction of Community. But my understand is that Donald Glover is leaving after the 5th episode, and that could change the direction. Of course, Chevy Chase, Pierce's character, was also exited, and that was easy. But they kind of replaced him with somebody else. So we'll see what happens with Danny Glover, because he's whereas Chevy Chase was an important part in the group. Donald Glover's character is even more. No, it's Danny. Anyway, I don't know. I just added. I'm losing it because, like I said, I'm still tired from this whole thing. His character was a little bit more into it, because you had Troy and Abed. They were so in sync. So I don't know what's going to happen here after that 5th episode. So we'll see what happens. So far, so good. I'm really happy about that. All right, what else do we get? What else? 250 videos have to go out. And of course, I'm not doing all 250 videos. I'll probably have about 40 or 50 myself that I'll have to push out here. So my computers are kind of going to be taxed. But there was one other problem. And that was the hour before I had to get on a plane to get out of here, my computer, the main desktop died. We're talking like super major crash. And now I'm one machine down. I can still do the videos, but I'm one machine down, and so I don't know how that's going to affect my workflow. I have of course my PC and my Mac. The Mac will probably do the majority of working for the videos, and then the PC, which doesn't have that much oomph, will do the updating. This is on my PC laptop. So I'll have to keep it on that side, but I'll have to figure out what the heck I'm going to do about my desktop, because it is 4.5 years old, and I'm not exactly sure why it died. I don't think it was a hardware error too much. I might be wrong, but it definitely corrupted Windows, and it couldn't repair Windows. So I have a backup from a few months ago. I'll probably put back on and then do the updates and go from there. But definitely not the time for a computer to go down, and it did. So I have to figure out that in the next couple days here. All right, and of course the shows this week in Google Glass and iPad 365, they're going to start back up again now that we're back into a regular, kind of a regular rotation. Day in Tech History, of course, every single day. Once again, since the main desktop has died, I've got to figure out how to do the episodes. I can move the files over and run the software. I can probably do it on the PC. It'll take just a little bit longer, so we'll see what happens there. Other than that, I hope you guys had a great holiday area. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, whatever. Happy New Year. Hope your resolutions are going fine, because it's a great time. And of course, 2014 starting up. Really excited about that. So I'm really happy that you are here to help watch what's going on over at Geekazine.com. And go from there. I don't want that up, so I'm just getting everything ready. So here's what's going to happen. As always, we are going to flip to this screen, and then in a couple minutes, I'm going to come back and start Geek Smack, the actual show. So with that said, with that done, we will be right back. You're watching the live version of Geek Smack Live, and we're going to talk this week. We're going to talk about Google and Google Nest and what's going on with Google Nest. So stick around and get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, get yourself what you need to get what you've got, and go from there. And I've got to do, YouTube. What are you doing, YouTube? Crazy YouTube. Of course I am streaming. There we go. So get yourself a snack. We're going to start Google Smack. We're going to start Google Smack right now. Google and Nest and spying. Is it going to happen? Or are you going to get spied upon? Find out next.
This is the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to episode number 287 of Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you like Google's smacking the geek out of Nest. They bought Nest for $3.2 billion. But did they buy Nest for the company, or did they buy Nest for an ability to spy on you? That's what we're going to talk about next. Of course, we got a lot of great tech. I was out in CES for the last couple of weeks. I got some great news on that and a whole bunch more. We've got so let's get started with Geek Smack for this week in January 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you like Nest smacks the geek out of thermometers or thermostats and smoke detectors, and now Google's smacking the geek out of Nest. Did they buy it for Nest, or did they buy it to spy on you? And a lot of people are thinking, oh wow, Google's going after the spy on you factor. I don't want that. I don't want that in my house anymore. Well, we'll talk about that. Well, I got a lot of other great tech. First of all, really quick, of course, if you go to the live show over at youtube.com/Geekazine, you see the 15, 20-minute rant, the pictures I show, Christopher Lloyd wearing my Google Glass, all that other good stuff. So you just check that out, and I won't go, I'll basically give you the rundown. I was at CES last week. Awesome show. Christopher Lloyd wore my Google Glass. As he got out of the DeLorean, you might have seen that picture all over the internets or interwebs. So that was my Google Glass. I was really happy about that. Martha Stewart photobombed me. She was stalking me the whole time at CES. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Anyway, then we had a great CES, lot of live action. Of course, I'll get those videos up as I go. You'll be seeing them roll down the pike here. And then, of course, the last 48 hours of me at CES, I got to find out about the downtown Las Vegas project. This is Tony Shea from Zappos. Tony Shea from Zappos. He's put $350 million into this downtown area south of Fremont Street experience. Got to catch out Container Park and all that other great stuff. And I might be going back in February. Might need your help on this, because February we're gonna be doing some lots of video here. So if you're a company that wants to help sponsor me out there, I need to cover my travel, and they've got everything else covered. Also, my PC died, so I don't know. I'm going to be doing a lot of video stuff through my MacBook and then writing through my laptop PC, which is a slower but very still useful machine as I figure out what's going on with my desktop. I may need to replace that, and that's another $1,000 right there. So we'll see what happens. This week in Google Glass will start up next week. iPad 365 will start up next week as well. All right, that's it. Let's get into your Tech Smack for today. And of course, Tech Smack is brought to you by our friends over at Carbonite.com. Backing up, I told you, my desktop, it's dead. It's not that the hard drives died or anything like that. Something happened, corrupted Windows, and it's the same thing I had about 6 months ago. So I have a feeling that there's something wrong with the PC. But if it wasn't for the fact that I back up all my stuff, and I back it up in multiple places, I have an on-site backup. Carbonite's my off-site backup, so I can bring things back if I need to. If it wasn't for those things, then I'd literally lose my company, everything that I've worked for these last 6 years, and I don't want to do that. That's why Carbonite backs up my files. Unlimited online backup, backs up files automatically, encrypts files for privacy, and accesses your files from any computer. So if I back up a file on Carbonite and then I'm out in Vegas and I say, oh, I forgot to get that file, I forgot to put it on my computer, all I have to do is log into Carbonite, find the file, and bring it back down. So it's an awesome program. It's a way to back up offsite. If I had a fire here, if I had a flood here, to last week, I was gone when that 65 below weather happened. If a pipe would have burst and I would have got flooded, I might have damaged everything. In fact, I think something happened in the fridge because the freezer kind of melted, and I got to deal with that later. But if that would have been something that would have affected my computer, I'd have been gone. It would have been gone. That's it. So back up now, back up often, back up offsite with Carbonite.com, the better backup plan. Check it out, 15-day free trial. All you have to do is go over to geekazine.com/carbon free. Geekazine.com/carbon free to get that 15-day trial. If you're a business and want to get into Carbonite, just go to geekazine.com/carbonite. Geekazine.com/carbonite for you business people out there. All right, let's get into your tech smack for this week, and we're going to start over at bgr.com. Net neutrality is gone, dead. It's done. So basically, excuse me, the U.S. Appeals Court basically said, hey, we're going to take this Federal Communications Commission 2010 order that imposed on network neutrality regulations and basically rule against it. So they struck it down dead. So what does that mean for you? That means that the original order, which is that the original FCC order said that wirelines ISPs should not block unlawful content, applications, services, or non-harmful devices subject to reasonable network management, while also mandating that ISPs shall not unreasonably discriminate in transmitting lawful traffic over a consumer's broadband internet access service. So overruling these rules, then such restrictions are not needed, in part because consumers have a choice on which ISP they use. So without that power, consumers have options. So net neutrality, this is just a first step. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but it's definitely a very interesting first step in net neutrality. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep you informed. And of course, if you want to read more on this article, go over to bgr.com for that information. All right, let's move on from there. We're going over to Ars Technica. Neiman Marcus and Target were not the only holiday hack victims. Of course, before the new year, we found out that Target had some big hack to them and that millions of credit cards were under suspicion of being possibly being in trouble. Somebody might be using your credit card out there. I actually did buy at Target. I went and purchased my new iPad at Target. So I went out there and I found Visa offers V.me, which I highly recommend that you get onto. I think it's V.me. Let me double check on this. But basically V.me, what it is a process that lets you put in your information, and then of course they will let you know every time you make a purchase. So and then of course this is with Visa. If you've got a MasterCard or Discover or something like that, you can't use it there. But with V.me, I have it set up so every time I make a purchase, it comes straight to my phone, which is awesome. And it comes to the glass. So I make a purchase and all of a sudden I hear buzz from the phone, and here it is right here, V.me. And you can create an online account and go from there. It's a free service by Visa. And so, but once again, what it'll do is it'll actually buzz on my phone and it'll buzz on my glass. And I talked to a few people about it as I was checking out, and of course they ran the card, and it instantly, and we're talking within a second or two, you get that confirmation through your device. So if you've got a Visa card, do the V.me. I don't know if my MasterCard has that option because I don't have one. I don't know if Discover or American Express have those options. But, it's a great way for you to keep things online, because I did find out that I was paying for a service I wasn't using. And I thought I canceled it. But I didn't. So I canceled it. So I'm saving myself even more money because I saw that transaction happen and say, hey, I got to stop that right then and there. So if you are part of that whole hack there from Neiman Marcus, and apparently there's a lot more. Reuters has reported that Neiman Marcus, Target were the two high-profile retailers, but there were others that are lower ones. Let's see if we can find some of the names here. And they used what's called RAM scraping. So basically, it's RAM scraping is working with encrypted information. So they scrape the information, they unencrypt it, and then of course they can sell that to black market. So even if your credit card hasn't been hacked or hasn't been used as of yet, it could down the line, because the right person hasn't bought it yet. So now that I'm back from CES, I couldn't cancel the card because it was so close and I needed that card for CES. Now that I'm back, I'll have a small window. I'll grab some cash and then I'll most likely have my bank change my card numbers. But we'll see what happens there. So 3, 4, 5 months down the road, your card might start getting some weird charges. So that's, if you haven't seen it yet, you're not out of the water, just so you know. But anyway, check this all out. This is over at arstechnica.com. We've got the link in the show notes. So if this is the first time that you've ever come to the show notes are always over at Geekazine.com. And if you don't know where the show notes are, Twitter me over at Geekazine. You can email me at geekazine@gmail.com. You can even call me at 608-205-4378. That's 608-205-4378. And ask, hey, where can I get this information? And I'll say geekazine.com. Think magazine, put in a geek, boom, you're there. All right. If you own a Fitbit, you might want to listen up here. This is over at the Huffington Post. There are some Fitbit owners that have reported that or complained about some severe skin irritation, coming out of wearing their Fitbit Force, which was the wraparound on the wrist type Fitbit. So we're talking Fitbit. Of course, you have Fitbit and Fitbug. This is Fitbit, B-I-T. A lot of people have Fitbits Force there. But lots of people taking the Fitbit and Engadget online forums, of course, and Twitter, and said they're seeking medical care for injuries that were caused by the band. The Force came out last fall, and it's basically a $130 device. So interesting stuff. Not sure why it is, if it's the plastic, if it's the sensors or anything like that. Of course, these things have sensors so they can track your heartbeat and blood pressure and all that other stuff. So first time that we've heard that a wearable has had problems like that. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on there. All right, let's move on from there. Let's go over to Reuters.com. I reported this a few months ago that Charter was thinking about actually buying Time Warner. And apparently, Charter has made a offer to Time Warner. Charter Communications, of course, and this is over on Reuters.com. They basically wanted Time Warner. They offered $37.3 billion. And of course, they're paying. I think it's for shares of Time Warner Cable to buy out Time Warner Cable. Now, of course, Charter, the number 4 cable operator, it's $132.50 a share, which is higher than what Time Warner has right now. And of course, I think that Time Warner Cable shows. Oh yeah, Time Warner has about $83 per share in cash. So it's basically 37 including the debt, the deal's worth $62.35 billion. Now, I'm very excited. I'm kind of a fan of Charter. You know, Charter's had their down points when it comes to cable. Of course, every company is just like that. They'll have their down points, they'll have their up points. So far, Charter has come out with a decent product and decent TV channels. The only thing that I don't like is those deal bundles, because you get caught in a very interesting loop when those deal bundles expire. Because basically the deal expires and then you see like $200-$300 bill, and then you call them up and you say, okay, I'm going to cancel, and then say, oh, well, let me give you this new bundle deal, and then you're back to the original prices. So I wish they just have, this is the price, pay it every single month, and you're good. You don't have to worry about this rigmarole. So interesting stuff, though. If Charter buys Time Warner, they will have a very big chunk of the cable market. Of course, here in Wisconsin, they'll definitely have a lot of Wisconsin here, and hopefully we'll even have better internet speeds. Right now, internet speeds for regular subscribers anywhere from 20 to 60 meg down, and then about 5 meg up, which is great. So you can actually work on the computer and watch a movie at the same time. Things like that. So I'm really excited about this deal. And of course, Charter and Time Warner, that merch, that would be awesome. So we'll see what happens. What do you think of it? Do you think that that's a good idea or a bad idea? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. All right, YouTube is streamlining their comment management system. Of course, everybody was complaining. Google Plus comments. In fact, I get them all the time. I did the video between Apple TV, Roku, and Chromecast, and I get a lot of complaints because the audio wasn't perfect, and I had to put on a gate to keep the hiss down. And everybody's, oh, it's just horrible. Here's the deal: you watch my video on a TV, you don't notice it. You watch TV, you watch the video with your earbuds in, you might notice it. It might become kind of hard to hear or hard to fathom. So just watch it on the TV, watch it on the computer without the headphones in. It's got a lot of, the reason why it's so popular is because it's got a lot of great information in it. It's just that I made a mistake. I made it as simple as that. And I put it out thinking that, I fixed it up enough that it would be okay, and it wasn't okay. So I apologize. Sorry that it came out that way, but what do? I can't take down the video because it's doing so well, yet I want to fix it, and there's no way for YouTube to change that. So anyway, whole point is I got a lot of people that are coming on and just throwing out comments because of this whole new Google Plus YouTube thing. But YouTube has decided to come out with a new feature that lets users see, respond, and moderate to comments all in one place, and that is cool. Because before it was, do I go through Google Plus? Do I go through YouTube on this? I'm confused on this whole thing. So now you got this one place where you can change anything and put it up. Now, if you say you retin, you're a retin, or you get very abusive, I'm going to come to your house and kill you type stuff, your comment's gone. Simple as that. But if you just say, hey, this sounds horrible. Yeah, I know that. There's not much I can do at this point. So... But thank you guys very much for letting me on. I do appreciate all the comments on my video. If you want to read more on that, go over to bbc.co.uk on there. All right, did you know that Blu-ray is not 4K? Blu-ray came out before 4K was even conceived. Blu-ray is a higher definition 1080p and 3D 1080p. Well, now Blu-ray is feeling the effects of 4K. We saw tons of 4K and what's called curved TVs. And the idea was that with a curved TV, you get more immersed in the action. I don't know if that was true or not. I saw a lot of 4K curved TVs, and they looked great. And a couple that were at 600 megahertz, they looked really great. I wish I could pay for them. But I'm happy with the TV I got. The bottom line there. Until that blows up, I'm good. But excuse me, Blu-ray now has to worry about these 4K TVs because disc technology is dying. Simple as that. So what they did was they announced that you're going to offer ultra high definition films on disc, so you can get it on disc if you still want that tangible, as opposed to downloading or streaming. So they're coming out with, I guess it would be called Blu-ray 4K or something like that. Now, if you're on a Sony device, they've always said that Sony Blu-ray had the ability to do upgrades. And you might, the older Blu-rays, you might have to get yourself a new Blu-ray player to do 4K. But if you have an HDMI port, that's the cool thing. If you've got an HDMI cable going from the TV to the box, you should be set when it comes to that. The cables you won't have to worry about, especially like they said about HDMI 2, which has a better throughput. You're still using the same HDMI cables. So that's pretty cool. If you've got high quality HDMI cables, we'll add that little addendum to that. So if you want to check out Blu-ray 4K, we've got the link over at Yahoo. You can check it out over at geekazine.com. All right. I know that, excuse me, I know that Amazon had their thing with the drone. But with that aside, I thought personally, Amazon completely kicked it for 2013. They, everybody I talked to, any affiliate I talked to, they basically said, we have to compete with Amazon. They're killing it. They know what to do, and they're doing it. And of course, Jeff Bezos goes and buys the Washington Post, and everybody gets worried because now he's got this Washington Post and possible lots of Amazon advertising. And I talked about Zappos, and Zappos is owned by Amazon. they're doing a lot of cool stuff. And 2014 looks even better than 2013. So whatever you saw in 2013, multiply that by 2, and you've got 2014, I think, with Amazon. So anyway, uh, according to more than 1 million interviews conducted by YouGov Brands Index, Amazon was the most highly regarded brand of the United States last year. Google came in number 4, and they came in number 4 at 2011. They didn't even rank this year. So that is pretty interesting, of course. YouGov Brand Index said it conducted more than 1.2 million interviews in the United States last year for this study. And all the respondents over the age of 18, the company's Buzz score included the following lists that were calculated from answers to the questions: if you've heard anything about the brand in the last 2 weeks through advertising, news, or word of mouth. Was it positive or negative? So the list is this. We'll pull it up on screen here. Number 1 is Amazon. Number 2 is Ford. Number 3, which I'm surprised, is Subway. I don't think I heard that much from Subway. Number 4 is History Channel, Lowe's, YouTube, Walgreens, V8, Cheerios, and Kindle. Cheerios, that bee, the honey nut Cheerios, the bee that's doing the if you want to come and take a ride with me, that song right there. Hey, must be the honey. And now every time you hear the song, you don't say it must be the money. You say, hey, must be the honey. That's pretty cool. That was good marketing campaigns for all of these. Like I said, I'm very surprised about Subway being number 3, but I guess it just wasn't on my radar. With the $5 footlong, great marketing campaign. So if you want to see what your company's doing wrong, look at these companies that are doing it right and say, what are you doing that they are doing? Simple as that. So check it out, businessinsider.com for that article. We'll have the link over at geekazine.com. All right. Apple has lost a battle on antitrust, and this was over the price fixing for ebooks. They basically got the U.S. District Judge Denise Cote denied a request by Apple to oust Michael Bromwich, who was tasked in keeping the tech giant within the bounds of antitrust laws for the ebooks price fixing that happened, I think it was last year. So, moreover, Apple had tried to reverse the need for monitoring entirely, and Cote denied that as part of her ruling today. So, Apple, you still have to be monitored on ebooks, which is good because, I'm going to actually be putting out an ebook very soon. I don't know if I'm going to have it on the Apple Store. I'll definitely have it on Amazon. That's for sure. So, and that's the ebook is going to be part of the buzz for the book that I'm going to write. Yeah, I'm going to write a book this year. It's been in the works in the last couple of years, but I feel I've got a better understanding of grammar and writing to be able to do something like this. I'm definitely not the grammatical person out here. Just right there, I couldn't even put my thoughts into words, but I do my best. And with writing stuff, it's a topic. Of course, it's all about podcasting at this point. It's a topic I know and very comfortable with. So can't wait for that to come out. But it's too bad, Apple. I mean, no price fixing here. Come on, you're dealing with people's lives and their livelihoods, not their lives, but their livelihoods. So check it out. TheVerge.com is where you want to go for that. Finally, a great article. We won't go too much into it because you'll have wherever you fall on this, how the NSA almost killed the internet. A very interesting article. Awesome graphic. Check this out really quick. There's the graphic right there. How the NSA almost killed the internet. You want to read that up? Let me know. Twitter me afterwards at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com. And the hotline is 608-205-4378. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Yahoo, CNN, PayPal, Twitter, getting a new redesign, and a man who died with this, trying to go after a cell phone. That's crazy. I'm going to get these hiccups out of the way, and we're going to be right back with your Geek Smack. And then, of course, we're going to talk about Google buying Nest. And is it a good thing or a bad thing? Are they going to start spying on you? I don't know. We'll check it out, and we'll do that next. You are watching Geek Smack. And of course, this episode of Geek Smack, this part of Geek Smack, is brought to you by our friends over at me, Day in Tech History, over at www.dayintechhistory.com. Full rundown of tech history on a daily basis. I've been doing it daily since August 10th of 2009. Haven't missed a day. We're on episode 1600 and some godly number. And of course, MacBook, or the Mac turned 30. Talked about that. Of course, right during CES, talked about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been around since 2009. Did you know that? I kind of did with the show notes and a whole bunch more. Get a full rundown. If you're in IT, it's a great way for you to understand where things have come down. Find out when Twitter was founded. Find out when Bill Gates was born. Find out what happened with the whole Microsoft Yahoo thing that happened in 2009. Lots of cool stuff over at Day in Tech History. Go over to www.dayintechhistory.com. www.dayintechhistory.com. All right, let's get back into it. We're going to start over at 9 to 5 Mac. Apple has reportedly started bringing the 8 gigabyte iPhone back into the market. That is to India's market. I guess the Times of India reported that Apple was planning to reintroduce 8 gigabyte versions of the iPhone 4, not the 4S, not the 5, but the 4, into their sluggish markets to boost those sales. Now, the best part about that is they can sell it for about half the price of a new iPhone. So for around $240. I'm not sure what the currency is over there, but it's 15,000 of that currency. They could possibly regain some stuff in those markets. And of course, it's not just India. There are some other areas that they're thinking of putting iPhone 4 into. So pretty interesting stuff. I thought the iPhone 4 was dead. Here, it's not. You know, when we talk about why Apple sells the iPhone 4, was it the 5C, and then they had the 4S underneath it, I think it was. Now we know, to try and get those people that, can't pay for a $200 on that. So interesting stuff. Check it out, 9to5mac.com. Would you get a 4 at this point in time? Even if let's say they even updated it with the Lightning connector, and maybe they put in more than 8 gigabytes of memory, would you still buy a 4? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. All right, big news over here. We have it over at USA Today as DirecTV decided to drop the Weather Channel over fees. Now, the Weather Channel asked for, I think it's like a penny more per person on their fees, but DirecTV basically came back and said, yeah, but you're not showing as much weather as you normally do. Now you're showing all these reality TV shows, which make you money. So why should we pay you more and you're not giving the weather to people the way that you used to do it? And you're showing all these reality TV shows. So their contract expired and DirecTV just went gone. And they replaced it with their own channel called Weather, what was it, Weather something. So they basically, you're not really showing us the weather too much. You're telling us to go to websites, and you're playing your reality TV series. So I don't know. Do you like the Weather Channel? Do you want them to bring it back? There's online petitions out there, probably over at change.org or something like that. But if you want your Weather Channel back on DirecTV, go over, check it out, and of course, let them know and tell me what do you think? Do you like the Weather Channel on DirecTV? Twitter me over at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. Doesn't matter. I don't remember the last time I actually flipped over to the Weather Channel on my TV. I usually, that's what this is for. Maybe the Weather Channel should start thinking about moving off of that and going on to the mobile and making their money there. Possible. We'll see. We're going to go over to, I don't know where I found this article, rudebaguette.com. Rudebaguette.com, as in the pastry. There's a taxi protest in Paris. And apparently it's gotten really worse for those people that were trying to get Uber. Now, Uber crossed the pond and got into Paris. I think it was like a month and a half ago or something like that. And apparently the taxi drivers don't like it. And so they have less than a dozen confirmed incidents, but flat tires, eggs on windshields, broken windows on people driving with Uber. And there was another incident of an Uber car being attacked by up to 20 men, and it was that was actually confirmed by Uber that happened. So they're getting violent for Uber. Now, some of you are going, well, what's Uber? Uber is an alternative to a taxi. It's a community car-driven thing. So basically, I have my car, and I could be part of the Uber program. And then this app you can download an app on your iPhone or your Android device, and then it tells you where there's a car, and you say, I want that car, I need to go here. So you have everything planned out, and then the car comes to you, and then you get in the car, and then they drive you there, and then all charges happen through the smartphone. Nothing, no credit cards, no nothing. And that's pretty cool. Plus, if you order an Uber, that car has to come to you. It can't pick up anybody else because you've already paid for that drive. So if something happens and you're stuck in traffic halfway through, you're not getting charged extra for it. And that's pretty cool. I've ridden many Ubers in San Francisco area, Las Vegas. They were like going, "Oh, we'd love Uber, but just the taxis have Las Vegas by the proverbial hoo-has, we'll just say that." And so it is, what can you do? And there's lots of fights back and forth between taxi. There was another company that did it, was trying to do something similar, and the ones with the pink mustaches, and that was even worse. So, but Uber got the last month, they talked about programs where they can help. They'll help the people that are driving for Uber buy newer, better vehicles, and they got everything that can do right with a vehicle delivery system rather than a taxi cab. I still ride my fair share of taxis. I did that in Las Vegas, and when I come here, of course, Madison doesn't have Uber, so I take a taxi here and back. But sometimes you don't want to roll up in a taxi. You want to roll up in a black limousine, and that's what Uber has, is the limousines, and you can get them like last minute, and they cost more than a regular Uber. But if you want to drive up in style, there you go. So check everything out, rudebaguette.com. And don't, okay, somebody infringes on what you're doing. That's going to happen. Going and egging them and flattening their tires, not cool. Not cool at all. Anyway, we're going over to bgr.com. Yahoo had a malware attack. They thought it was basically, you opened up an email message, you opened up this thing, and it got into the system, Java-based ad network, and apparently it was worse than they thought. So it's gone larger than they expected on there. And what was it? It happened between they thought it was December 31st to January 3rd, but it turned out to be December 27th through January 3rd. And so it affected European users, and the attacks were said to have occurred during that time frame. They're not sure how many users have been affected by the hack. Estimates from security companies say that over 2 million machines might have been compromised. So, if you don't have any antivirus, if you don't have any malware protection, you might want to take a look at that. If anything, get your Windows Defender updates updated, so you got something backing up your system. So check that out. Go over to bgr.com. CNN has made an announcement that they're going to take CNN.com and CNNmoney.com and combine the tech coverage teams to make a more focused big tech innovation, privacy, cybersecurity, and digital lifestyle group. David Goldman, CNN Money's tech leader, will serve as the editor of the new combined team. I don't think they have a name for it, if it's going to be called CNN Money or CNN Tech or whatever. But their coverage teams will be changing, so we'll see what happens here. My coverage doesn't change because, I could merge with myself, but what would you do with that? Anyway, check that out over at MediaBistro.com. Over at Engadget, if you're using PayPal for purchases, which I do, if somebody wants some of my services, I like to go through PayPal. I tried, I could go through another service, but I've been using PayPal for years. It competes, it's good, so I use PayPal. Now they're working with what's called seamless online store checkouts. And so it's a new in-context checkout. So you can enter your billing and shipping info through a pop-up and never actually have to visit PayPal itself. So basically, when my ebook comes out, I can say, "Hey, buy my ebook." You press on a link, and it's just a pop-up that says, "Okay, it comes. You're buying it this way. Put in your password. Okay, make the confirmation. Poof, you're done." As opposed to an online page. Now they did the online page because they wanted you to feel like you're actually you're safe in putting money in there. So it would then, well, you'd say hit the PayPal button. It would then go to the PayPal secure page. You put in your password. You say that, and then it come back. Um, with this new way, there's a possibility somebody could spoof that pop-up page, and then you're kind of wondering, is this a secure page or not? So that's why they haven't done it. But they feel they have the technology to do this where everybody feels comfortable seeing that pop up, putting in their information, and going from there. If you're ever uncomfortable, there's probably going to be a link that says, "Okay, go to this page to feel comfortable," and go from there. So if you want to read more on that, go over to Engadget.com. I'm really excited about that because that'll definitely increase any type of sales, especially on mobile devices, because then it doesn't it when it flips over to another page like that, sometimes it gets confused, and then you're just sitting there waiting for nothing to happen. I don't know if you've ever had that. It actually happened to me earlier today or yesterday or something like that. I was waiting for the Facebook confirmation to come in so I can say yes, I'll allow this website to use my Facebook profile, and it never popped up because it got confused. So anyway, let's move on from here. Twitter has done a refresh. Of course, we got the link. Just simply, they refreshed up. You can personalize your profile with an accent color and web design. You can check it all out. And oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I know. Since I was in CES, I didn't update my antivirus. So I got to update that now. So I got Defender running anyway. So anyway, if you want to check out more on that, go over to twitter.com. Finally, a man jumps into an icy river because his cell phone fell over. He was hanging over the railing, and I don't know what he was doing. All of a sudden, he fumbled in the cell phone and fell in the river. So he jumped in after it in freezing water. Let me tell you something. First of all, your cell phone is just not that important. Second of all, if it was that important, chances are your cell phone won't work after that. So you're diving in for something that probably won't work after the fact. And of course, third, you can develop hyperthermia and die. A woman jumped in after him is also missing, and it's sad. If it falls into icy water, don't go after it. Simple as that. Simple as that. It's sad, but sometimes we need to be reminded that way. So if you want to read more on that, we'll have the link in the show notes over at Geekazine. That's over at cnet.com. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Google. We're going to talk about Nest. Buying Google for, Nest bought Google? No. Google bought Nest for $3.2 billion. Did they buy it for a company, or did they buy it to spy on you? I always feel like Google is watching me. We'll talk about that, and we'll do that next. It's more than just 750 channels that the Roku can offer that gives you all that content. Each channel can have sub-channels in it, so you can have tens of thousands of hours of video watching and game playing out of your Roku. And prices only start at $49.99. Of course, the Roku 3 for $99.99, and of course you can get the games, you get the game remote as well, and then the privacy mode where you can plug in your headphones right in the remote. That's perfect for when your partner is sleeping, but you want to watch something on TV. Lots of great stuff from Angry Birds to Amazon to Hulu, and of course the Tech Podcast channel. Let me show you this really quick. This is how you get to some of the content from Geekazine on the Tech Podcast channel. You just go into the Tech Podcast video, and you're going to go into Tech News, and you're going to find like the special events, iPad 365, Geek Smack, and a whole bunch more. A lot of other tech podcast shows right on that Roku for you, right at your fingertips, right through the remote. And then, of course, you can get your Netflix, you can get your Amazon, you can get your Hulu just as easy, and many more channels. PBS, we've got Redbox Instant TV Guide, Sci-Fi Channel, and much more. Check it out. It's all over at Roku. Remember, geekazine.com/Roku. Of course, that helps me keep the lights on for all my shows. Thank you very much. And go over where streaming is made simple. Google bought Nest for $3.2 billion. Founded by Tony Fadell, the man who helped build the iPod from Apple, Nest is an internet-controlled thermostat that debuted in 2012. Last year, Nest added a smoke detector with carbon monoxide monitoring, also via smartphone control. Now Google has these devices in their stable, but did they really buy it to pull data and spy on you? Rumors are popping up that Google might not only do that, but also possibly send information to the NSA. This is part of a larger problem with what was called home embedded technology. Basically, a smart TV, a smart fridge, a smart thermostat, another device can easily send data back to the source for analysis. A couple months ago, we saw the problem with LG TVs. Even though you checked to not share your viewing habits with LG, software glitch kind of ignored the option. LG, of course, says that they're working on a fix to get it, and I'm not sure if that's out just yet. Having a security backdoor can also cause hacking problems. For instance, a hacker could come in and turn your heat off. Maybe turn up the heat all the way so your bill skyrockets. If something happened like that while I was away, I'd have 10 days worth of a super hot house and a big electrical bill, heating bill to show for it. After all, most people with home routers don't even know how to make them secure enough for hackers not to get in. The bigger problem, of course, is tracking. Google could now know if you're at home or away simply by how you adjust your Nest. Not that they couldn't track your phone or another internet-connected device already. They might not know what temperature your house is at, though. The reality is that Google was already working on a thermostat and wanted to sidestep all that development by buying a known brand. And although Fadell sold the company, he'll actually continue to work with Nest as its CEO. Now, should you be concerned about spying? Not really. If data collection happens, it might be only to see how people handle their air control or how it alerts you when there's smoke or carbon monoxide. Reality is, if you have a smartphone of any kind, you're already being tracked in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully, Google will actually use this acquisition for good and not for spying habits. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that this is something to be worried about? That Nest is going to start spying on you? I don't know. Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com. The good outweighs the bad in this situation. Think about it. Your house is on fire or carbon monoxide is happening and you're away and you get something on your smartphone, or you're asleep and you get something on your smartphone and you're just like, oh, hey, I better get out of the house, or I better get home and find out what the heck's going on, or better alert the fire department. What if I was at CES and all of a sudden that happened? That there's possibility we could alert the fire department, have somebody come over and check it out. That's pretty cool. And I don't think Google's going to spy and send everything over to the NSA. That's just not going to happen. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, that does it for this episode of Geek Smack. What'd you think? Let me know. Of course, if you listened to it, thank you very much for listening to the audio version. If you watched it over on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. You saw the live part there. And then, of course, the show. My name is Jeffrey Powers, and I'm glad to be back in the saddle here. Glad to be back getting new shows. You can check out everything over at Geekazine.com. Of course, Geek Smack. This week in Google Glass over at twig.tv, twigg.tv, and then iPad 365 at ipad-365.com, and Day in Tech History over at dayintechhistory.com. All right, I got to go shovel snow now because apparently it's been snowing. So I'll be back next week with more cool tech, more cool news for you to handle. So you guys take care and, of course, geek out. See you later.